If you dream of a 6 or 7 figure author career, having a publishing empire, courses, movie deals, TV shows, this is not the video for you, and you should probably stop watching right about here. If you're still with me, hey, hi, hello, my name is Melanie, and today we are going to be talking about indie publishing, specifically how the 6-figure indie author dream is not for everyone. Indie publishing has exploded since it began back in the kind of early 2000s. It has become big business. And whilst that is fantastic, because without that explosion, I wouldn't be publishing my books today, and nor would many other indie authors, it has created a whole different issue. A very specific formula for indie publishing is being put left, right, and centre. It is a formula that is screaming, this is how you have to do it if you want to make it big. We have all seen this formula, but if you have not, it's something like this. Write to market, publish 3, 4, 5, 6 books a year. Those books should be romantic. Actually, the romance should be spicy. The romance should be paranormal in nature. You have to scale everything to 6 figures. You have to create assets like courses and go on Kickstarter and do special editions. It is relentless. You have to go to conventions and conferences, though I feel like that is much more of an American thing. You guys love conferences and conventions like no one else in the world. Just saying. There is actually one self-publishing conference that happens here in the UK, but that's it. We are not conference people. So this path is relentless. It is continuous. It is non-stop. How many ways can I say relentless? It starts off with publish your first book, which in and of itself is a huge achievement, has a lot of steps, a lot of things you need to achieve. But once you have published that first book, you don't get to just pause and revel in it and enjoy it. If you want to achieve this level of success, it is non-stop. First, it's earn your first £100 or dollars, and your first 1,000, 10,000. Success is always moving further away. You can never just rest and be happy where you are, because the indie publishing roadmap is just always pushing that game piece just a little bit further away, and you just can't win. And the trouble is that as this game piece of kind of the monetary side of things is moving further and further away, there is this tendency to fall into the trap of thinking, that is what I need to do. That is the formula. That is how everyone is making money. Unwittingly, your own goals or vision that you might have started with can fall away in favor of this success formula, right? Because we all love a formula. If you do A and B and get C and you can do that, great. So easy to replicate. We love that we don't have to figure everything out ourselves. That if we just do what someone else did, we will get the same result. Now, we know this isn't really true, but when it is constantly in front of us via these courses, Instagram posts, TikToks, whatever, it starts to feel that way. And that is the most important thing. So you'll notice in indie publishing that the kind of number one way to make this 6 figures is writing spice. Now, I'm going to put a caveat here. If you write spice, I love that for you. If you read spice, fantastic. 100% support that. Have no issue with it whatsoever. But what I take issue with is that it gets sold to us as the way to make money. Yes, there are other genres making 6 figures. Cozy mystery, I think, is very popular. Some forms of YA also quite popular. But BookTok is basically responsible, I think, for saying that spice is the way to go. It's just everywhere, it's prevalent. Whenever you come across one of these success stories, go find that author on Amazon or wherever, and I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, they write spice. I read a book recently about kind of reaching 6 or even 7 figures, and every single author that this person had worked with wrote spice, every single one. Now, clearly that's just the kind of clients they're working with, and they did say that they had 1 or 2 other clients, but they also wrote romance. So you tell me. So whatever books I'm writing, it needs to feel authentic, and for me that is writing all things cozy. So I write cozy fantasy. If you're new here and you're like, what does this lady even write? I write cozy fantasy, and I also write cozy non-fiction. Cozy vibes are my vibes. Even if they aren't the most popular vibes, it's my vibe. I write things that are very positive and uplifting. There is like a romance subplot in my cozy fantasy, but it is specifically a subplot, and there is like no spice there whatsoever. I don't want to build a career on writing things that just make money and writing things for the sake of making money. I can't do that. That's not who I am as a person. That's not how I want to succeed in life. Again, if that's the option that people go for, more power to them. But that's not the only way, and seeing it paraded as the only way is kind of what grinds my gears, for want of a better expression. I want to be able to write authentically, to write things that I care about and enjoy, and in the hopes that there are people out there who also want to read books that are not, you know, mainstream popular, people who want to read cozy fantasy where not a ton of stuff happens, where it's just about vibes and coziness. And yes, there is a plot, and of course something happens, but it's not, you know, this is not a high stakes murder mystery or thriller. It's just something where plot is gentle. You know, we're reading it because we don't want this kind of like high stakes in your face kind of stuff. But writing to market really does involve having to write what is trendy. And of course, what is trendy now will not be trendy in 5 years. Heck, what is trendy now might not even be trendy in 5 months. And when you're kind of writing for the purpose of making this much money, you have to stay on top of trends so much, because that is where the kind of more immediate money is. And that to me just sounds exhausting. You hear about people wanting to build these publishing empires. They want their own publishing house, their own imprint, and courses and everything. I don't want that. When I started, the idea of having this empire of books and things, it was very alluring. It was what everyone else was doing in this space. And for a while, I thought, oh, maybe this is something I want to do. Very quickly realized it was not what I wanted to do when I started to realize what went into that. That's the thing. Unless you follow kind of authors who are sharing this kind of business side of things, you don't always appreciate what goes into it and how busy people's lives are that have these huge or indie author careers. Like, I just could not imagine, you know, having to get up every day and do all the tasks that involves, and having to employ a huge team of people and be posting on social media all day, as well as trying to write the book. It just thinking about that absolutely exhausts me. It is not for me. So I've talked a lot in this video about what is not for me, and hopefully what is not for you. So what is for me? What is for you? Well, I can't speak to what your version of success is, but this is mine. Success for me is about writing 1, max 2 books a year. Success for me is having a small but loyal following. Now, if that following grows, fantastic. If not, having a small, loyal following, over 10 million subscribers who never comment or engage, I'll take it every single time. Success for me is not being burnt out. It is not coming to my office every day thinking, oh, I need to liaise with my assistant about this. I need to post all these reels and these book talks and these Instagram posts and Facebook posts and all that. And then I need to write the book at the same time. And then I'm going to this conference and speaking about this. No, my version of success is having no burnout, because if I wanted to be burnt out, I would honestly just go work a regular job. Success for me is also enjoying the process. When you're writing to market, I'm not saying you can't enjoy it, you know, clearly people do, but the emphasis is getting it done as quickly as possible and to a standard that is good enough to, you know, make money. I like to take my time with the process and just enjoying the sitting down to write, having my candle going, maybe some music, just sitting there and letting these ideas kind of like marinate, taking a break when I need to. Just that whole process for me is part of the reason that I do this. I wouldn't want to sit down and think I have to have XYZ done right now. Obviously, I do have some soft deadlines. You know, I want to get, you know, this story finished by this time. But if I don't, it's absolutely fine. Just that kind of like hard deadlines and having to do all the things, it's not for me. In indie publishing, it is very easy to be swept away by someone else's dream and someone else's vision of success. To follow your own heart and your own path and say, actually, what I want is not that at all. It could even be seen as the opposite of that. That is much more of a challenge. To go against the grain in all things, in all aspects of life, is always a challenge. But in this kind of indie publishing industry, as it has become now, it really is. There are very few people, if any, out there saying, I'm happy making 3 figures a month. Like, people just don't say that. If they are making 3 figures a month, it's followed by, I hate this, I need to make more money, why isn't anyone buying my books? That is the story you get with people who are making lesser income. There are very few people saying, I love this is great, this is exactly what I wanted. It's having the courage to put yourself out there and have a different version of success to what everyone else is telling you. Maybe unfollowing Instagram accounts of people who are, you know, kind of pushing this ideal, or even people who are living this dream but aren't necessarily, you know, telling you how to do it. I always say, if you're following anyone on Instagram and they trigger you in any way, just unfollow them. It's the best way. You know, if following someone who is making, you know, millions from their books whilst you're trying to, you know, be happy with your version of making less than that, if that is triggering to you, just unfollow them. It is absolutely fine. I sat on this video idea for a while. I thought to myself, does anybody really want to listen to me talk about this? Is everyone just going to be like, do you mean you don't want to make that kind of money? Like, who are you? That's really weird. But as I sat on it and thought about it, I realized that there are people out there who have a similar vision to me, who don't want to be burnt out, who don't want to be sat there every day thinking, how can I scale my income? Thinking, do I need to sign up for another course to make this much money? What else can I do to increase my income? There are people who are just like, you know what? I'm very happy to have a modest income. Maybe it's more about having a community of people. Maybe it's just writing and publishing for the sake of doing that. I just wanted to share my kind of vision that is different, so that if someone watches this and has been thinking to themselves, oh, actually, I don't think I really want to be that busy, that they felt seen by this video, that they are not alone. Because you're not alone. We don't all want to be running empires, and that's okay. So I hope you enjoyed this video. In a recent poll, you opted for having me make more chatty videos. So here I am making another chatty video. If you enjoyed this content, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.